What's up, you guys? It's Charlie. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, a couple of months ago, maybe 1 month ago, I posted a video about my job in the Air Force, which is personnel, and I asked you guys if you wanted to see any other Air Force jobs, and a lot of you guys said you wanted to see services. So I scoured the internet and I found someone who's willing to do an interview. In this interview, she talks about her experience being services, what all it entails, tech school, and everything in between. So I'm gonna pass the channel on over to her. Make sure you like this video and comment something sweet. Let her know how good of a job she did, because she did amazing. Also, sorry about my appearance. I was not expecting to film today. Like one of her pictures on Instagram, follow her, show her all the love, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
Hey guys, so my name is Colleen Tabby. I am active duty. I've been in the Air Force for 4 years now. I signed up for a 6-year enlistment. I am a senior airman, and if you guys don't know what that is, that's E4. So I'm currently stationed in Moody Air Force Base, Georgia, in the middle of nowhere. I did put out my dream sheet, but that's another story for another time. So like I said, I'm services. The code for it is 3F1X1. And so to break it down to you, because I know sometimes like the explanation on the Air Force website is a little confusing. So basically it has 6 jobs in all. You're not going to be doing all 6 jobs at once. It's just whatever they put you on first. It consists of the DFAC, which is like the chow hall, the gym, lodging, protocol, readiness, and mortuary. So those are the 6 jobs and all that make up services. Like I said, you're not gonna be working in all jobs at once. They're gonna put you in one section first, and then whenever you've done your time, they'll move you to another section. I started out, my first 3 years in the DFAC. A typical day for me was, when we had people, it was like you were either morning shift, dinner shift, or midnight shift. This shift, there's not really a set time. It's whatever is in your base. So I know, like, I was in morning shift for a while, which was, the hours were 4:30 to 2:30. It's very fast paced. Like, you have to be quick on your feet. You have to learn things in a quick pace, because sometimes you're not always trained the way you want to be trained, I guess, because like I said, it's a very demanding job in its own way. Yeah, so for a while that was like the shift that I worked on. I've worked like the different shifts. So dinner shift, look, all I know is like the time changes all the time, right? Like one day you can be working like the morning shift, which is like 4:30 to 2:30. Another like day you're working like dinner shift, or like another month or so you're working dinner shift, which is like 11 to like 5, and then another time you can just be thrown in midnight shift, right? So it really just depends. And then I know that when we were hurting for people, we did go into this schedule. It's called a Panama schedule, and it really depends on how they do it, but it's basically a 12-hour shift, right? So it's like 2 on, 2 off, and then every other weekend you have a 3-day weekend. And I know it seems long, because it is. I personally prefer Panama schedule, because that's a lot more days that you're actually off within the month, even though 12 hours suck, right? So typical day, I wouldn't say is typical, because you're always thrown around, and you have to, like I said, that's when the flexibility mindset comes in. You have to be flexible, but you do get a lot of time to be able to do things that you want outside, especially like during Panama, when you have those 2 days that you're off. Like it's 2 on, 2 off, so you work 2 days, you suck it up a little bit for 12 hours, 12-hour shift for 2 days, and then you're off like 2 days. which is great, right? Because you can do whatever you want. You can like do school, you can have time to like do me time, you can go out and venture off in the world. Well, maybe not right now during COVID, but like, you know. A typical day for me was I got up, I got to work, and I learned how to cook. So I'm not from America, I'm from the Philippines. So I know for me it was really interesting to learn how to cook a lot of American foods, especially if you have a good person training you. You know, they'll teach you how to like really teach you how to make American foods and just different type of dishes that I've never been exposed to, right? Like I know spaghetti, right? But like some dishes like eggplant parmesan, like what? Okay, so like, yeah, so he had, you know, those are the things that I've taken away. And it's not like I didn't know how to cook before, but no one can tell me I can't cook now, right? So good skill, life hack to learn. Going back to the base. So I'm in an ACC base, so I'm always deploying. So within the 4 years that I've been in, I've actually deployed twice, possibly going for a third time. So yeah, those were fun experiences for me. I personally never deployed as my job. It was a volunteer FP. It's hard to explain because every time I try to explain it to other branches, it doesn't make sense. Or other people who've never done FP, it doesn't make sense, right? But basically, I've been deployed twice. I've earned really good money. I know for people deploying is scary. It was like kind of nervous for me my first time. But it's not like the first time I've ever been out the country, so I wasn't really that nervous in that concept. I loved it. I love deploying, right? Like it's a nice break. It's a nice break from what I do, from my life. Let me tell y'all, I earned so much money if I actually did save and didn't go on Amazon. You learn to network, and to me that was great. Like just enjoying life. It felt like a vacation, right? Services is a great job if you want to network. You always see, like in the DFAC, you see everybody coming in and out. Typical day for me in the DFAC, like I learned how to cook, I learned how to become a leader, and you know, everybody's experiences are different in the military, or in different AFSCs. But literally when I got there in November 2016, and then by like April 2017, a lot of experienced folks like deployed. So I was like the next new person who wasn't really trained up on a lot of things, and so they made my like shift leader. Like I had to be the one to figure it out pretty much, and so you know, it was really stressful. I was really stressed, like really stressed. Like you over here, like you're brand new, you weren't really taught like a lot more things than you should have been taught, and it's like you gotta figure everything out. But you know what, I'm glad it happened, because now in some ways I learned a lot, and like no one can tell you what to do when you like have to figure things out on your own. It really built up, I think, my confidence. It built up my leadership skills pretty fast at such a young age too, you know. It built up my like critical thinking and like just thinking right on the spot when it comes to like, oh shit, like where this food is burnt, what should we do, right? Like quick to speed. I'm not over here like asking somebody else. I'm over here like, well, let's do this. One thing I always respected that one of my commanders actually said while I've been in was like, customers are not always right, you guys are, right? But to further elaborate, what he meant is as long as you don't come off disrespectful and you know why you're doing such rules or why you are doing the things that you are doing, and you explain it politely, then they're in the wrong, right? Because what I want to emphasize is like, these customers do not know the hard work that you put in every single day. How like sometimes leadership will just throw you out of nowhere under the bus to like do this because you have to, because you know, we have to be flexible in this job. So that's one thing to take into mind, is like it is a customer service job for the, like, you know, and like these customers aren't, they don't know the hard work that you do. Like sometimes people will come at you because they think, oh, you know, I'm a maintainer or I'm a crew chief, I do such hard work and all you guys do is be in the AC and like not do this. Dog, literally when I was in the DFAC, like there were times, all right, but that was under poor leadership, right? But there were times where like I worked a 9-hour shift straight without sitting down, without having any lunch break, without having any like breakfast break, whatever. I didn't have any type of break, right? Like literally 9 hours on my feet, on the move, and it's hot in the kitchen, so that gets tiring and your feet hurts. Don't ever let anybody tell you you don't do anything or you don't work as hard as them, right? Because you do. They don't know what goes on behind closed doors. They don't know what like you have to do to make things happen, right? Like we don't come to their job and tell them how to do their job. So like people will always try you, but like I said, I don't really get tried, and if I do, I don't notice it because I just joke back or whatever. I came in open, so I was 17 years old when I joined, or I started talking to the recruiter. And at the time I was in Texas, or at least where I was at in Texas, like you have to be 18 to get your like actual driver's license. And so at the time she was like, you know, influencing me to do security forces, and I was young, and honestly I've always wanted to be a detective. So like the way they explain it, like I said, it's so confusing what that job actually is sometimes. So I'm over here like thinking, oh, I'm gonna be a canine, whatever, let me sign up for SecFo. I couldn't until I turned 18. By the time I turned 18, I had a lot more, I guess, knowledge of things. So I ended up picking open general. So it's an open contract. Like I left, and plus I just really needed to get out of El Paso. Like I just, hard times of my life, and then I just needed to do something. By the way, fun fact, Air Force is my first job. I went in open, I picked services on my list. Like I said, I didn't really know about the job or the other jobs, you know. It was kind of just like the way they explain it, like cool, because that's how they get you, right? Like they make it sound good. But anyways, don't regret picking it though at this point, right? Like I've deployed twice. A lot of people in services that I've met has 8 years never deployed, and I'm over here like, shoot, I got 2 diplomas now, maybe 3rd. Anyways, so yeah, I came in open. Places can I go with this job? Because services is like pretty much everywhere. Like you can go everywhere, dude. Like literally, like you can go anywhere, any state, any overseas, like everywhere. How often does this job deploy? So I've been lucky to be in an ACC base, and it's like a deployable base. So really, it depends. If a tasking drops, like you're probably going, yeah, all the time, honestly. Like if you want to, you can also put your name up for volunteer, and people are always constantly deploying. So I mean, if you don't want to deploy, there's still a possibility, like if you're not in an ACC base, that you don't deploy. But that's just, I personally think everybody should get at least a deployment under their belt. My normal duty hours, it used to be, while I was working the gym, I was on night shift. I'm a night owl, so I picked it. It used to be from 1:30 or 1 o'clock, whatever. I think 1:30 to 10:30 p.m. But you know, the gym shut down, we closed down, and now because we are very low men on people, We're working Panama schedule. It's 2 on, 2 off. Literally work 2 days, 12-hour shifts, 2 days on, and then you're out for 2 days, and it alternates. So really, when you think about it, you have more days off in the month than like you would if you worked a regular Monday through Friday job. And that's the schedule I'm on right now. Tech school. So your tech school will be in Fort Lee, Virginia. Yes, it's in an army base. Yes, it sucked. No offense to all my army folks, but you know, I'm an army brat, right? So I grew up army ways. So there's just a lot of differences that I see all the time. How long was it? It's typically the tech class or tech school itself, whatever. Itself is 29 days. But I was there for more than 29 days because there wasn't availability for a class at that time. So literally I was stuck there for like 2 weeks longer than I had to. It wasn't hard. Not for me anyway. Tech school wasn't hard. I mean, it's only 29 days. Things that I learned, I would say I learned like, you know, just the different jobs that it came with. Like I said, I didn't even know it was like 6 jobs that is in services. So I learned that. I learned that pretty much the higher ranking I am, the more I'm probably gonna be exposed to doing like the other stuff like mortuary protocol and readiness. Just real quick to touch up, if it doesn't make sense, defect, chow hall, lodging, gym, I feel like it's self-explanatory. Mortuary is dealing with dead bodies. Right? Or I've never done it, right? I know people that have done it, but you're basically dealing with dead bodies. You're pretty much a mortician. Or like you're part of search and recovery, where like if you deploy and you go to a place where they task you to do search and recovery, you pretty much have to go out there and like pick up the body parts of dead folks. But I'm sure you do more like stuff in mortuary. I just never done it, so like don't take my word for it, right? Protocol is pretty much like, you know, like a bodyguard, I think. Protocol, right? Like I said, don't take my word for it. I've never done it personally. I just know some folks that have. Like my instructor has done protocol, and he actually was one of the bodyguards that was there at one of the conferences. I don't know if it was conference or a gathering where Barack Obama had to do a speech. And then readiness are the people that like get you ready to be able to deploy. So, all right. So those are the things I learned while I was in tech school. And honestly, like I think the favorite thing that I learned about it is the fact that it's like services is pretty diverse. It's not just this one thing. Like you go and learn different things. I'm always up for learning different things, so at least that's that. Like that's just me. Any advice to give? Look, I have a lot, but I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, but like real. I would say take into account that you will come across good leadership and bad leadership. I took it as a learning lesson when I was under bad leadership that, like, you know, whenever you're in an NCO one day, if you choose to stay or in any type of leadership position, you are shown an example of what not to be, or examples of what you would like to be if you're ever in a leadership position. So always take things into a learning lesson. Don't ever, you know, there were times where I did take it personal, but like don't ever try to like take it personal. Always try to take it as a learning lesson you're gonna mess up. That's part of human nature. That's part of life. I don't care what job you do or if you're in the military, you're gonna mess up. It's okay to mess up, right? I learned early on in life, and this will help you become a better person, become a better airman, just become better all around. If you mess up, don't make excuses. There's nothing I personally hate more than like you making excuses. Don't make excuses. Just own up to it and apologize and try to like really fix it, right? Like if you, let's say you messed up on like, you were late to work. Don't make excuses unless it's like a legitimate reason you're late to work, but don't make excuses. Apologize. Just like admit your fault and then tell them what you can do next time so that you're not late to work, because there's nothing more tiring than somebody like wasting your time. And I feel like if you make excuses, you're wasting my time, and that's prone for people to like want to write you up. Do the best that you can. Don't be afraid. Like, I'm shy, right? But like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask a million questions. I piss off my leadership a lot, but like in a good way, right? Like they get annoyed seeing me sometimes because I ask like 10 million questions. I am a very curious child. Like I'm always asking questions. When is this gonna happen? When's that gonna happen? Well, what is this? Like I'm always asking questions. Where is so and so? Like literally ask all the questions. Don't beat yourself up too much if you do mess up. Like everybody messes up. And even if you're new, I have to emphasize this. Even if you're new to something or whatever the case may be, don't ever let anybody talk to you crazy, right? Don't let anybody talk to you crazy. I don't care if it's a commander. Unless you messed up, then you know that's your fault. But like if you didn't and you're doing things right and you're being respectful, don't ever let, I don't care if it's a commander or like a chief, do not ever let anybody disrespect you, call you, or do anything crazy to you, right? Because at the end of the day, even if you're like a low-ranking E1 and it's a crazy O3 talking down on you, you are first and foremost a human being. You are somebody's sister, you're somebody's brother, you're somebody's son, you're somebody's brother, right? Like don't let anybody talk to you crazy. Don't get scared. Don't get bucked. Don't get disrespectful. Like respectfully, like, you know, don't just shut it down, right? Like respectfully shut it down. What do I personally dislike? Because it is a customer service job, there's a lot of things I dislike. I personally truly dislike when customers get crazy and get buck with you, right? Like I just, there's no need for it. If you're upset because so-and-so is not doing their job, or like you're confused as to why we're not doing things a certain way anymore. Like for example, right now people are upset because we took out bars from the freeway area, because one of like our rules are like you have to be 12 feet apart, and if it requires a spotter, which bench press technically requires a spotter per CDC guideline, we had to take it out, right? So that people can maintain the 12 feet distance. And that's why they're allowed to not wear a mask on while they're working out, so they can breathe better. And I feel like that's better than just having to like wear a mask all the time while you're working out. So and people like will get mad at that, but like if you just calmly, respectfully explain that, they'll understand it. But like, you know, you always get those select views, don't care, they don't want to hear what you gotta say, they just want to come at somebody. And sometimes like it's the high ranking folks that just want to come at you because you're lower ranking. Don't let anybody disrespect you. I don't care. Like I'm not just gonna sit there and let anybody talk to me crazy. If I can retrain, it would probably paralegal. I've always wanted to do legal work. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. So I think that's one thing I'm looking into right now, actually, besides flight attendant. Overall, do I recommend it? Yes. It is an easy, hard job. Like, it's easier compared to other jobs. You have more time and flexible time to do other things that you want, especially school or whatever you would like to do outside of work. I recommend it if you're, especially if you're just like, you want to come in the military and like your plan is to get out anyway, because you're just using it as a tool to like for school or whatever the case may be. Other than that, like, I do recommend it because there's a lot of great things that have come up from being in services, and the good for me always outweighs the bad experiences, because it's just how you look at life at the end of the day. Just try to keep it positive.
I hope you guys enjoyed that interview. If you made it this far, make sure that you go over to her Instagram. The link will be in the description box. Let her know how great of a job she did. Make sure you comment something sweet to her and thank her for appearing on this channel to help you guys out. If there's any jobs that you guys want to see, make sure you leave them in the comments or message me on Instagram, and I will be sure to get an interview done with those people. If there's anything you want to know specifically, make sure you slide into my DMs on Instagram, and I'll see you guys in the next video.